Hey everybody, Andy from Tennis Euphoria, bringing you my review of the Babolat Pure Aero 98. A little bit late to the party with this one, but I hope you let me off because, as you know, I had a bit of an injury which took me out for a few weeks. Had about 10 days where I couldn't hit the ball, managed to recover though from pretty bad tennis elbow and another associated injury within about 4 weeks, which was pretty good going. A series will come around what caused it, how to fix it and how to manage tennis elbow, so hope that will be of interest to people. Subscribe if so. So the Aero 98 comes as a match pair. And the Aero 98 line, or the Aero line, apologies, is developing, isn't it? You have the standard 300 grams. You now obviously have the Rafa Origin line with 2 iterations. The Aero 98 is the new updated version of the Aero VS, which I have reviewed on this channel and reviewed it very favourably. The Aero 98 brings you more control within the Aero family. If we consider the specifications and some of the technology around the Aero line, in terms of a spec, the Aero 98 is of course the 98 square inch version. It has a denser string pattern at 16 by 20, estimated Babolat RA stiffness rating of 70. My two were well matched and pretty much on spec. Should note that with a swing weight of around 325, 327, which you get with this, it is pretty stable and certainly is the sort of swing weight that I tend to like to play with. Of course, you've got to string a Babolat Pure Aero with RPM Blast, so one of them I did. The other I wanted to explore a competitor to RPM Blast, so I went with Technofiber Black Code, and actually that plays quite similar to RPM Blast. I found similar durability too, and I would say it is a little bit softer, so string review on that to come at some point. So hitting with the Aero 98, certainly it is a bit reminiscent of the Aero VS. I, like many, finding myself drilling drop shots, probably quite inspired by Holger Rune and of course Carlos Alcaraz. It is expected or understood that they are using the Aero 98. I would imagine that they have some customization. I'd be surprised if their swing weights were as low as this is in stock form, but as I say, like many, I find myself trying to drop shot more, and I think it's pretty cool to be demoing and testing a racket that they potentially are using. Kind of goes hand in hand with them developing the game in my mind. Drop shots, all court play, still loads of power, loads of spin, so it's nice to play with a racket that allows them to do that, and it does, in my view, make you try and play quite all court. The Aero 98 has all of the Aero family technology, and by that of course we are talking about the Aero modular beam and the FSI spin technology, which basically makes the grommets move quickly and get loads of spin. But we have the addition of NF2 tech, which is flax inserts, I think at 3-9 and in the throat, and I think there is where there is the significant difference compared to the Aero VS. Despite there being a reported 70 RA from Babolat, Tennis Warehouse, I noticed, took the RA at 65. Just through intuition, if I was to pick this up and hit with it, I would think 65, 66. I wouldn't be thinking this was 70. It feels a little bit softer and more plush than a 70 RA would suggest. Much like the Aero VS, this is an absolutely awesome racket to serve with, and I think you know, the characteristics of the Aero modular beam means that you've got a lightning fast racket through the air, full of aerodynamic brilliance, and then you have the FSI spin technology and the grommets, which give you great access to spin. So slice serves, kick serves, flat serves all work particularly well with the Aero line, I find generally, but that's definitely the case with the Aero 98. I think that the slightly smaller head size and the 16 by 20 pattern does make this much more controlled than the standard Aeros, and that for me certainly is a really good thing. I'm a player who really values as my number one priority lots of control, so clearly that's good for me. In terms of general playability, I do think this is an improvement on the Aero VS, and I think that largely comes down to the NF2 tech. I much prefer the feel. I actually always talk about Babolat benefits. You get a little bit extra depth on your shots, a little bit extra spin. If you're playing with a pure drive, a little bit extra power than most other frames. If you're playing with an Aero, a little bit extra spin than most frames. So Babolat benefits really, in my mind, means it makes the game a little bit easier. I think this does retain a lot of that. Certainly I was finding more depth than I was perhaps comfortable with. Kudos to Dave there for a great drop shot. Told him I'd put it on camera. And however, you do get good feel from this frame, and for me that's quite a big thing. It is the sort of frame that would pull me into the net. I did feel connected on drop shots. Generally I could sort of sense where the ball was going much more, and I felt much more connected. It wouldn't be a switchable frame to me. It is just still a bit too powerful. But that's mainly because of my technique is, I think, a little bit too flat to really benefit from this frame. This frame, I think, is a very, very good option for a lot of players. Certainly your advanced player who's looking for a controlled frame that can live with the modern day should look at the Aero 98. Clearly Aero users who are looking for a bit more control should look at it too. I think that, you know, really promising advanced juniors who have got high hopes for their tennis ability should look at the Aero 98 as a frame to sort of bed in with. And I think that said, with an appreciation that actually the frame is quite comfortable. Clearly I'm someone who's got or just had tennis elbow. It's gone now, and but it's made me more mindful, and always previously I've been a little bit wary of hitting a lot with Babolat frames, but I can genuinely say that I wasn't noticing any harshness on my arm, and I was playing with this frame through a period of tennis elbow recovery. So you know, that can only be a good thing and came as a pleasant surprise. So if you're in the market for a new racket at the moment, check out All Things Tennis and punch in my code Tennis Euphoria for a discount on your purchase. I think when it comes to the Aero 98, they might be able to sort you out with one of those if you're looking for one, but you'll need to email them. For any other rackets, then jump onto their website and use that code, as I say. Got my first string review coming up towards the end of the week. I've been thinking long and hard about how I can best review strings, and I love strings. I do a lot of stringing. I'm passionate about offering a great stringing service and stocking loads of strings to give people actual genuine options, and so I'm going to do a lot of string reviews, and the first one will go out towards the end of the week. Subscribe to see that. I'm really looking for some feedback on how that goes and what format people want, what people want to understand from string reviews. So that'll be out at the end of the week, hoping that that will get some new subscribers along to the channel. Thanks for watching. Hope that you'll get on court. It's boiling in the UK at the moment, which I personally love. There'll be loads more content coming up for you. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.